Well, students, let's have a look at the question. The question says that the following solutions were prepared by dissolving 10 gram of glucose in 250 ml of water and having the osmotic pressure of P1, 10 grams of urea in 250 ml of water having the osmotic pressure of P2, and 10 grams of sucrose in 250 ml of water having the osmotic pressure of P3, students. So the right option for the decreasing order of the osmotic pressures of these solution is a very interesting question asked in NEET 2021, students. Well, let's have a look. Well, for this particular question, you don't need to solve the value and give the answer. We can just directly give the answer by a very basic math, right? Okay, let's have a look. This is, we are having glucose. So if I just consider osmotic pressure, what is osmotic pressure? It will be pi equals ICRT. Well, in this particular case, glucose, urea and sucrose, all the three are non-electrolytes. So I am considering I as 1 only for these. So this can be written as 1 into CRT. Well, RT remains constant in all of the case. I am considering for C only now. So this will be now, students, this will be C. I will be just giving the answer in the form of RT only, right? So it will be, for the first case, it says that consider the osmotic pressures at P1, P2 and P3. So let me just change these to P1, P2 and P3. In fact, so this will be P1, right? So P1 equals to C1 RT. Well, now C1 is concentration, and concentration can be written as mole by volume, right? So it is number of moles of solute. It can be calculated by weight over its molecular weight. This is 10 divided by molecular weight of glucose is 180, students, into 250 into 1000 RT, right? So this will be cancelled out. So finally I am having P1 equals 40 by 180 RT. Going for P2, students, now very quickly. P2 equals to C2 RT. Again it will be 1 because it is a non-electrolyte, right? So it will be concentration equals mole of solute by volume of the solution in liter. Moles of the solute is what? It is weight by molecular weight. So 10 divided by molecular weight of urea is 60 into 250 ml again, right? So into, well, we'll just convert this into liters. This much RT. Again this gets cancelled out. This will be 4. So P2 comes out to be 40 by 60 RT, right? Well, coming on to the third case, students. The third case is P3 equals, I again will be 1. So this will be C3 RT, right? So concentration can be written as mole by volume again. So this will be 10 by molecular weight of sucrose. It is 342 grams, right? So this will be 250 divided by 1000, which goes to the numerator and get multiplied. This much RT. This gets cancelled out. This will be 4. So this will be 40 by 352. Now see, students, it is 40 by 342 RT. In all of the cases we are having 40 RT, 40 RT, 40 RT. That means the numerator remains constant, students. So just come into the we'll just go according to the denominator. Well, the one which is having the high value of denominator will be having the least answer. That means P3 is having the least answer. Okay, well, the greater osmotic pressure from this will be for P1 because amongst these two it is having the higher denominator. So P1 will be greater than P3, and in fact P2 will be highest amongst these three. So highest will be P2. So this will be the case. P2 will be highest, followed by P1, followed by P1, and in the last we will be having P3, students. So P2, P1 and P3. So the correct answer is P2 is the highest, followed by P1, followed by P3. So the correct answer goes to be option number 4. I hope you understood it. Thank you. Well, students, let's see the question. Which one among the following is the correct option for the right relationship between Cp and Cv for 1 mole of ideal gas? A very simple question directly from the thermodynamics part, students. You all know that from the Mayer's relation we all come to know that Cp minus Cv equals R. This is from the Mayer's relation. So very basic approach from the thermodynamics chapter, directly a theoretical question that just came. So this is Cp minus Cv equals R, and the correct option goes to be option number 1. And I hope you understood it. Thank you.
Hello dear students, so our question is the major product formed in dehydrohallucination reaction of 2-bromopentane is pent-to-ene. This product formation is based on, okay, first of all student you can see that this is the our reacting 2-bromopentane, okay, this is our reacting 2-bromopentane. Okay, so this 2-bromopentane will form here pent-to-ene as a final major product of the reaction. Why? So basically here what happen, if we have a base like B minus and this base will trap the beta hydrogen from this carbon atom, okay. So this reaction is proceed by the E2 elimination mechanism, okay. So this reaction is proceed by the E2 elimination mechanism. It will trap the beta hydrogen from the more hindering carbon atom and this bond will convert into the pi bond and here this Br minus will leave, okay. So finally we will got this alkene as a major product of the reaction because this is a more hindering alkene. So this alkene will known as Sadjeff alkene, okay. So this is our Sadjeff product. This is our Sadjeff product and it will form into the major amount, okay. Now here one alkene is also possible if this base will trap the beta hydrogen from this carbon atom and this bond will convert into the pi bond and this Br minus will leave, then we will get another alkene. This is 1-pentene, but it will form into the minor amount because this alkene is least stable due to the least number of alpha hydrogen, okay. So this alkene is Hoffman alkene because this is least stable alkene, okay student. So that's why here option 4 is the correct answer, that major product formation is based on the Sadjeff rule. Thank you.
Well students, let's see the question, and the question says an organic compound contains 78% by weight carbon and the remaining percent is for hydrogen, students. So the right option for the empirical formula of this compound will be, consider the atomic weight of carbon as 12 and hydrogen as 1. Well, let's have a look very quickly. Well, we are having carbon and hydrogen. 78% is given for carbon, so the left portion will be absolutely for hydrogen only. That means 100 minus 78, it comes out to be 22. So we are having actually 22% of hydrogen in this particular case. Well, to calculate an empirical formula, there is a very basic trick, and that or we might just say that basic steps that you must follow. Just divide the percentage by its atomic weight. So I'm just going to divide it. Well, after dividing it, it comes out to be 6.5 and it comes out to be 22 again. The next step says that just divide the particular values by the smallest number among these two. The smallest number is 6.5. So just divide the values by its smallest number. It comes out to be 1, and 22 divided by 6.5. Well students, it will somewhat around 3 point something. I'm just not writing the complete values over here. I'm just going to click the answer directly. We can just tell it as 3 point. It comes out to be 3.3 around, right? So it will be somewhat around 3.3. From this approach, the closest answer that we might just get is CH3. That is C1 and H will be 3 times. So the correct answer for this one goes to be option number 2. Many students might just think that we are not getting the actual results, we are not getting the actual standard value. But student, in this particular case, if you look at for CH2 or if you look for CH4, if you look for CH, let me just give you a basic approach. Well, if I just calculate the percentage of carbon for CH, have a look at it. It will be 12 by the total volume, the total mass of the compound will be 13 into 100. It will give us an approximate answer of 90 plus. It will give us an answer of more than 90%. I'm not going to the detailed part, right? It will give the answer of 90, more than 90%. But we have been given that the percentage carbon is 78% only. So it might not, it will not be the answer for sure, right? So CH4, it will be 12 divided by 16 into 100. Well, it gives us a direct value of percentage of carbon for, it comes out to be 75% students, right? Well, for CH2 it will be 12 divided by 14 into 100. So it gives the percentage as somewhat around 85%. It gives us the approximate value of 85%. But when you do CH3 for this, the percentage carbon, it will be 12 divided by 12 plus 3 is 15 into 100. It will give an approximate value of 80%, which is closest to 78%. So just by the normal basic rule, of giving the answer to the most possible smallest value or the matching value will be option number 2 for this. So the correct answer, the empirical formula for this particular compound will be CH3, and I hope you understood it. Thank you.
Hello student, this question is asking zirconium and hafnium have similar atomic or ionic radii. Because of, what is the reason behind this? Lanthanide contraction. Very simple student. You must know that after lanthanum we are having some elements which are showing here the reduction in the size. This is famously known as the lanthanide contraction. Okay, so after lanthanum we are having here the next element scandium. Just below it we are having here the yttrium, then lanthanum, okay, then actinium. Next is titanium, next zirconium and hafnium. Before hafnium there is lanthanide contraction. Because of that the size of zirconium and hafnium is approximately equal. Not only for this, next to this we are having here the niobium and the tantalum are also having same radius. So we can say that the lanthanide contraction, second option is going to be the perfect answer. Diagonal not possible in the S block and the P block. Having similar chemical properties, wrong. This is the perfect way, belonging to the same group. Second option is going to be perfect here. Thank you.